Caleb Williams, Tremaine Edmonds, and the Chicago Bears host Jaxon Dart, Brian Burns, and the New York Giants. An NFC North versus NFC East matchup at Soldier Field. You got to start with Chicago because, my goodness, what a win against the Cincinnati Bengals. It should not have been close, given every Bears fan on the planet a heart attack probably several times. The onside kick, the ball hits Daniel Hardy's foot, and it just felt like you knew Cincinnati was going to go down and score. The only question was, how much time would the Bears have to go down the field with a chance to answer? 3rd and 10, Caleb Williams picks it up with his legs. They call a timeout, and then Colston, Loveland, all the talk about how they missed that one, another bust. He comes out with a great day. That's the thing about some of these first-round draft picks. It takes time. Think about the people that said that they should have taken Jaden Daniels. Unfortunately for a guy like Jaden, he goes down, and now Caleb Williams has his team 5-3 and right in the thick of it in the NFC. For New York, that was a tough loss against San Francisco. It looked to me like this defense had a lot going into the season with that front seven. You go and take Abdul Carter 3rd overall. He hasn't had quite the impact you would have liked to have for this season for New York. But you look at that offensive side of the ball, they have moved the ball. Look, Jaxon Dart, he has been incredible. He steps in to replace Russell Wilson. He's been everything that you've dreamed of as a New York Giants fan. It looks like you have the face and star of your franchise. I just feel for the fans there. Cam Skattebo goes down. Before that, a couple weeks prior, you had Malik Nabers, two of the more fun, talented, younger players in the league. And this is clearly a type of game against Chicago where you're going to need those types of guys. They're down a couple. It's been a next man up mentality. Chicago's not feeling sorry for you whatsoever. They haven't had their number one corner, a top 5 cornerback in the NFL, and Jaylon Johnson the entire season. He's only played one half of football. That was week 2 against the Detroit Lions. And they lost Dayo Odunze this past week, a torn Achilles. The past week before that, against the Baltimore Ravens, they lose their 2nd-round pick, Shamar Turner, to a torn ACL. So the injury bug has hit them hard. Kyler Gordon, one of the top nickel corners, that's a slot corner. He's been out. He's been on IR. He's really only played about a game this whole year, and that was against New Orleans. And you could tell the Bears were starting to figure out a little bit defensively. Look, I still think the New York Giants can put up some points. They showed last week against a decent San Francisco 49er team. It's funny, we keep bringing up injuries. That's a team that was without Fred Warner, without Nick Bosa, and still defensively, it looked like San Francisco was holding their own there. I feel like this is the type of game where New York can hang with Chicago here in the first half if they are able to not play this game into the Bears' hands. And but what I mean by that is Chicago's a very good team on that first possession. They're amongst the top of the league in first quarter scoring. Opening possession, they've been very efficient on the season. Another opening drive touchdown for the Bears against Cincinnati. They are, as of right now, the number 6 scoring offense in the league. So for New York, you cannot turn the football over. The Chicago Bears lead the league in takeaways with 19. Just for reference, in 2018, that vaunted Chicago Bears defense, the best in football that season, leading them to their last NFC North title, they had 36 that year. And so right now they're actually on pace to be ahead of that if it were only a 16-game season with 17 games. Still a lot of football left to be played. A lot of very tough games left on the schedule, but still something to sort of keep an eye on. Also, if you're New York, you have to stay out of 3rd and long. Believe it or not, and this is going to shock some people based on how much this Bears defense has struggled. And again, we talked about the injuries, how they've impacted that. It's helped to get TJ Edwards back and healthy there in the middle of that defense and being the guy that is in control of the signals, your green dot. The Bears are actually the number 5 team in the league getting off the field on 3rd down. And 3rd down defense conversion percentage, they are the 5th best in the NFL. That's surprising because what does that mean? It means that teams on 1st and 2nd down, it's one of these very interesting things that we'll go into right now is you got to stay out of 3rd and long if you're New York, but you would be saying, well, if the Bears are the 5th best team in the league on 3rd down, that must mean they've been good on 1st and 2nd down because that means you're probably in 3rd and long. Well, you're partially right there, but the numbers are a little bit skewed to where this team has actually been very, very good on 3rd and 4 or longer. and they've been in that spot. Typically, teams are going to be very good in 3rd and 8 plus, but Chicago's actually been good in that third and medium, 3rd and 4, 5, 6, 7. They've been they've been elite in that category. So that's where the numbers start to skew, where they're not actually a very good team on 1st and 2nd down. Teams are picking up first downs efficient. You think back to the end of the game, they had a nice stop on 1st down and goal. The Bengals are driving there down by 6 at the end of the game. They get a stop at the line of scrimmage, 2nd and goal. What do they have? A Joe Flacco passing touchdown. The PAT is up and good, and they take a lead on Chicago. That's Exhibit A, where you have a good play on 1st down. Maybe it's only a 1-2 yard gain. Bam, a team beats you on 2nd down, or they're able to pick up 7-8 yards, and they make it 3rd and short. So that's where the numbers get very interesting. To me, I'm sort of a nerd in that way about football, getting into the nitty gritty. I know for some people it's a little bit lost on you, but that's to say for me, New York will have their opportunities. I think you can go out and get it. Jaxon Dart, take advantage of your legs. Go pick up 5-6 yards on 1st down. One of the critiques for Dart is actually something that he's been very good at this season. It's using his legs. I will say myself, he can't take as many hits as he has. I get it. He reminds me a tiny bit of Justin Fields, very young in his career and taking those hits. Mitchell Trubisky, a very willing runner early in his career. So Jaxon Dart, he's a far better passer than those guys. He's got a much better pocket presence and accuracy than what Fields or Trubisky had earlier in their careers, but the mobility really stands out with Dart. He's got these traits where every single week it feels like he's running 7, 8, 9 times for 50 or 60 yards and getting into the box for a touchdown. That's a factor for Chicago. TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, they're going to have to be very good, and the Bears are going to have to stay in their pass rush lanes. Can't let Jaxon Dart beat them. He's beat a lot of teams this season with his ability to pick up those first downs. But again, though, for New York, it hasn't fully resulted in victories, in wins. And that has to do with their defense. So we talk about how can Chicago go into this game and exploit a New York Giant defense as a whole. Well, you look at what San Francisco just did. The Christian McCaffrey show. They ran the football for 235 yards. And Chicago, what are they right now? This is the number 2 rushing offense in the league. Incredible, some of these statistics. You're actually going to keep them coming here. The number 2 rushing offense in football. Chicago, with what they looked like last year, that offensive line, and how they looked early in the season, to say something like that, being right behind the Buffalo Bills, it's incredible. But Kyle Monangai, he's got 176 yards on the ground last week with an incredible day from the 7th round rookie. We'll see, as the recording of this, the status for DeAndre Swift this week. Not really known yet. I've heard a little bit that Chicago wants to rest him. They feel confident they can beat New York. They've got all respect to the New York Giants, but that's a 2-7 football team, and the way Monangai looked wouldn't be a bad thing if they rested Swift, gave Monangai some more carries to get Swift fully healthy before you've got Minnesota, you've got Pittsburgh, you've got the Packers 2 out of 3 games, you've got the Philadelphia Eagles sandwich right before that Friday on Black Friday. So you've got that coming up. This is your last chance for DeAndre Swift to maybe get a little bit of a rest after he missed that game last week. So Chicago, I really think that they're going to keep it on the ground. And a lot of times people pass the football to run it. That's what you've seen from Philadelphia. That's this season. You've seen that a little bit from the Los Angeles Rams to open up, getting those linebackers pushed back, keeping those safeties back. Whereas Chicago, they've ran the football to open up the passing attack. And that balance that they've had, you've seen a team that's been set up 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4 very often with the efficiency that they have run the football on this season. Right now, I know this is also another absurd thing, and that speaks to their ability to run the ball. DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, this is the number 2 running back duo in the NFL right now in terms of total rushing yards, right behind Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. That's how efficient, that's how good they have been on the ground. A lot of that has to do with the right side as well as the interior of the offensive line. Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, Joe Tooney, these guys as well have been very good in pass protection. No sacks given up last week from the interior. No pressures a week ago. All of them graded out very well. I really think that left tackles been okay with Theo Benedict. He's been a good answer to a tough question. I think in the short term for him, unfortunately, it doesn't look like long term he can be that star left tackle. We'd love to see that with that type of story, but it does look like that might be something you have to address in the offseason if you really want to shore up the blind side for your franchise quarterback. So let's talk about that for a second, because Caleb Williams, of the 5 wins for this 5-3 Bears team that's third in the NFC North now, they have a quarterback with 3 game-winning drives. The Raiders, the Commanders, and the Cincinnati Bengals. It's unbelievable to say that he had to have a game-winning comeback drive in that game, but he absolutely had to do and orchestrated it. And what has helped him, I think, lately now is his legs. 3rd and 10, I mentioned it earlier. He goes and picks up the first down with his legs. You remember his Heisman season at USC. He had 10 rushing touchdowns. This man was evading defenders. He was attacking teams. He was decisive as a runner. When he saw a hole, he was going there, picking up 7-8 yards. I want to see a little bit more of that from Caleb Williams. He has a little bit of the opposite of a problem from Jaxon Dart right now, is he's been a little bit too conservative in the sense to go take off overall in the season and avoid the hits. I actually feel at times he can maybe be a little bit more physical. You saw it earlier in this game in the first half when he was able to shift around a couple of defenders and pick up a 12-yard gain when it felt like he was only going to pick up 3 or 4, because Caleb's a thick kid, 6'1", 218 pounds. He has an ability to be very tough to tackle in open field. I believe a lot of people forget about that. They think about all the things Jaden Daniels did and what type of athlete he is, but Caleb Williams in the open field, I saw it myself his junior year when he played Washington in a 52-42 game. He had 2 crazy spin moves. They lost that game 52-42. I bet Caleb's sitting there on the sideline seeing the Bears with 41 points on the day, and they've got 42 that's been put up on him. He straps up that chin strap. The one difference between this Bears team and what it was like with that USC squad is he gets chances to rebuttal. He had a little bit of a smirk, a smile on his face when the Bears got their chance. At USC, that was it. That game would have been over. 5 seconds, he wouldn't really have much of a chance, but instead, he's got 51 seconds. He's got a timeout. That's enough to work with. Frankly, if Loveland goes down, it sets up to be something like a 50-yard field goal. Bears likely get that spike off, and you're looking at Cairo Santos, 52-yard field goal, most likely. Let's talk about Colston Loveland, the rookie tight end. He had a heck of a day. 2 touchdowns. Overall, 118 yards, a large factor in the offense. And then Cole Kmet, who's now in the concussion protocol. We're going to continue to see that role evolve for Colston Loveland. It has to at this point. Ben Johnson has to see that and say, all right, Rook, in the red zone, 3rd and goal, when we needed that tub, he went out there, a dart from Caleb, giving it to Loveland in the 3rd quarter there on the Bears' opening drive, I believe, of the second half. So this is a Bears team that you think about what Loveland could be in the red zone, because this is a squad that struggled down there. I think New York, they're looking at this opportunity here. Look, if we bend a little bit, this Chicago Bears team, they're very good at moving the football down the field. Like this is a very good team in picking up yards. I mean, statistically, when you look at Chicago and where they are in the league, 4th in the NFL in yards a game as in offense. We talked about where they are on defense for their 3rd down conversion. They're 8th in the NFL in 3rd down conversion as an offense. This is a bona fide top 8, top 10 offense in the NFL right now. And if you are struggling in the red zone, they're the number 25 team in the league with red zone touchdown percentage. That's where there's really the main thing that they need to improve. Everything else has actually been quite good. Colston Loveland being a threat down there, that starts to change things. Also, Odunze, it feels like 1 or 2 plays a game. There's just a catchable ball that he doesn't make against Baltimore by the sideline, right? Doesn't catch that pass this past week on the Cole Kmet lefty throw. He's wide open and sort of bobbles it and winds up being an incompletion. The Bears score on that drive anyway. But those are the types of plays. It's like every single game it comes up with Odunze. It's like, all right, man, like let's go. We took you so high in this draft. I've seen him make these types of plays all the time. You saw it for back-to-back years with Washington. He certainly no doubt has the talent to do it. I sort of equate it to a little bit of what's happened with Marvin Harrison Jr. Well, sometimes for whatever reason, you just haven't had the same success catching the football. There's really not much of an answer for it. It's just keeping in there, keeping your head up, and getting back to the plate, taking another at bats, keeping your head on right. All of this nonsense about his dad saying to get him more targets. I'm not buying into any of that. I think Rome Odunze is very happy. All you need to see about him and his relationship with Caleb was on draft night. And Caleb's like, Uno, we got my guy. We got Uno, bringing him in there to Chicago. So New York, in that secondary, this has to be a game where they hold up in the back end. What helps them in the back end? Well, that will be your pass rush, led by a man that just might be an all-pro this year, Brian Burns, one of the more underrated players in the world in any sport. He's been fantastic this year getting after the quarterback. Dexter Lawrence, the nose tackle, he's been quite good. I mentioned Abdul Carter and his efficiency. It's been a little bit tough for me when I've looked at this Giant team and I've seen him play a bit off-ball linebacker. I just looked at him. I'm not Penn State. I'm a Big Ten football guy, and I just saw how impactful he was at edge, and he was just a game wrecker. You would go back and even watch that game against Boise where he's only got one arm. He's so effective off the edge. It feels to me like there's a little bit of a logjam there. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau, great player, also there as an outside linebacker, edge type guy, where it just feels like maybe New York might be making a trade. As of the recording of this video, it's on Monday night. So if any of that stuff goes down, I apologize. I'm just not aware of it yet. It just feels like to me there's a bit of untapped potential. Your third overall pick, getting him up to speed with the league. Of course, there's a whole lot of football left in his career to make a massive impact in the NFL. That all can happen. Just feels like to me that's something there. But how do they stop Chicago? Well, it's his pass rush. If I'm going to see it, I really believe it's going to come on the edges. It's going to be against left tackle Theo Benedict. Darnell Wright, the right tackle for Chicago, he's been quite good. They took him 10th overall in the 2023 draft, and he's lived up to that billing this year. But how does he do against the savvy type veteran player in Brian Burns now and having to block him? This man was so good in Carolina for a long time. They had him there for 5 seasons. He flew under the radar, and now he's having a career-type season. The most sacks he's had in a season was back in 2022 with 12 and a half. He's already got 11, and we're only halfway through the season. I could easily wind up seeing him grabbing 18, 19 sacks. And again, this guy's only 27 years old. And as of now, I mean, he's honestly got a rather cheap contract for a pass rusher that's effective. They have to get pressure on Caleb Williams, get him off the spot. It felt like Caleb was under duress, running around a little bit last week. He does hold on to the football a little bit, so that then puts pressure in the back end. And you've seen injuries to New York. Javon Holland, Cordell Flott, these guys have been hurt. I really want to see New York play a little bit of man coverage. I know DJ Moore and Odunze are chomping at the bit to hear that, but I think you play some tight coverage and you force tight window throws from Caleb. He has shown an ability when there is pressure in his face to evade that, get out of there, and deliver the ball down the field. I believe you got to mix it up a little bit and put pressure on him. He's shown an ability against zone coverage to be able to find guys, especially in clutch, important moments, because what does he possess? Elite passing traits, attacking every part of the field, outside the numbers, inside the numbers, up the seam. You saw that on that throw to Colston Loveland. If you remember the Bears-Vikings game last year at Soldier Field, to force overtime on a throw to DJ Moore. He showed a couple times in that game also to Keenan Allen on some darts. So the arm talent is there from Caleb. It's all coming together slowly but surely. He's really, truly developing into a franchise quarterback, and he's the best in the biggest moments. You'd like him to be a little bit more accurate and clutch earlier in the game, so you don't necessarily need to be in those spots, but you'll absolutely take it over what you've seen at the quarterback position in big moments really for the last 40 years, essentially. So New York, we talked about the pass rush now, talked about their defense. How do you attack Chicago? So it looks to me that this Bears secondary is just undermanned, and it is evident with the injuries that they've had, the the status of a guy like Kyler Gordon, who's back on the shelf. They got Tyreek Stevenson back, but to me, Tyreek is a great corner number two. If he's a CB number one, and unfortunately, when you're matched up with a team like the Bengals with two wide receiver ones with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, you're going to be lined up on one of those guys. It's going to be a very tough day. But truly, if they had Jaylon Johnson, this is a guy that I think could flourish. Against New York, though, without a Malik Nabers who could have feasted in this game, he still will have his hands full with Slayton, with Wan'Dale Robinson, who stepped up and become a hidden gem for this New York team. Chicago is going to have to get pressure on Jaxon Dart. They're also going to have to bring him down. That's necessary. My question for New York is, how does this ground game look? They stuck to it pretty decently. I'm going to rephrase that. They ran the ball decently well. I thought they could have kept it a little bit more. It was obvious to me early in that game that they really were going to have a lot of trouble stopping that San Francisco 49er attack. I mean, they had 6 scoring possessions. So how are you able to keep the football out of their hands, away from Christian McCaffrey, who touched the ball 33 darn times? It's the run game. It's time of possession, allowing your defense to rest a little bit. This was actually a pretty good offensive day from New York overall. It's just they had to keep their team on the field a little bit. That's how you help out your offense. I mean, San Francisco on the day, they had 33 minutes time of possession to New York's 27. That 6 minutes can be a large toll. San Francisco ran the football 39 times for $160. New York ran it 21. So because of that style from San Francisco, they held onto the ball longer and they were picking up chunks with it. McCaffrey only 3.8 yards a carry on 28 carries, but they kept sticking with it. This team was having a very nice day on third down. They were 6 of 11, quite efficient, and they were keeping the ball in and moving the football down the field. That's what hurt New York. So can they do that to Chicago? This offense, if you're a New York fan, be prepared. This Bears offense is legitimate, and with this new offensive line in the middle there, they really can go up and down the field. The question is, we talked about it in the red zone, so if I'm New York, I'm without a doubt trying to keep it on the ground. I'm very sorry about Cam Skattebo. He's the type of guy that could have really impacted this game, impacted games the rest of the season. Just a fun player to watch, screaming around the building, the energy that he was bringing every single day to that New York locker room, to the practice field, inside the meetings, no doubt was fantastic. So that type of stuff you really hate to see, but it's opportunities, right? For Tyrone Tracy, for Devin Singletary. These guys need to fill into a role. And against the Chicago Bears defense overall, they haven't been good stopping the pass. They haven't been good stopping the run. And that's led to opportunities. And I mentioned earlier about the third down conversion percentage. All of the statistics for the Bears support a defense that's been overall poor, except for third down, which has helped them. And takeaways, leading the NFL in takeaways, like we mentioned, with 19 on the season. What's harped the most? It's red zone, scoring touchdowns, not kicking field goals. It's takeaways, taking the football away, not turning it over, and it's third down. Those are the 3 keys that every single coach harps about. Coach speak, you hear it. We got to be better on third down. We've been awful on third down. We got to get off the field on third down. We've been bad there. This is a top 10 team in Chicago on third down, both sides of the ball. With the takeaways, they're the best team in the league at taking it away. 6th in the league in terms of turnovers, so they've been good in both of those facets, but it's the simple amount of yards they've been giving up. One of the worst teams in the league on first and second down. Chicago has to be better. If I'm New York, I'm coming out and with the strategy, running to open up the pass, going at the Chicago Bears front that's now down Shamar Turner, Dayo Odunze at those edge spots. If Austin Booker, 94, is back. He had a nice impact. A strip sack in his debut on the season. If you're a Bears fan, you love to see that. But he's still not quite at the development stage where he's an every down guy. He's more of a pass rusher. Let's say you pick up 2-3 yards on first down, and it's a bit of a win for the defense. You bring Austin Booker on the field now. We're 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8. Most likely is a down where you'll be passing it. 3rd and 8, for example, you're bringing Austin Booker on the field to rush the passer. And you're going to be playing that personnel. That's sort of where it's fun. these two teams squared off in 2019. I was there at that game. I believe the Bears won like 17-13. It was a bit of an ugly game. Uh, I really was in the sense of that one, and I was, I mean, 6 years younger then, but you're looking at the personnel and how every team matches up. They bring in a lineman or a tight end, you're matching with a linebacker or defensive lineman. They bring in a wide receiver and they're taking off a tight end. All right, you're bringing out a nickel corner, you're bringing another defensive back to come out of base defense and to be playing nickel or dime coverage, 5 or 6 the defensive backs on the field. So that's really what's a lot of fun when you're breaking down this type of personnel here and what these matchups will look like. The Chicago Bears, look, they've got 2 players tied for first in the league. They have a little bit of friendly competition between Tremaine Edmonds and Kevin Byard. Both of those guys have 4 interceptions on the year. Nahshon Wright, as much as he's been, I would say, put on in the doghouse by a good amount of analysts and Bears fans. He's got 3 interceptions on the year, notably that pick 6 against Minnesota. They would have liked to have won that game, obviously, and rid that momentum from that standpoint. But he's filled in okay, right? He's obviously not a guy that's going to be to the level of a Jaylon Johnson. You can't hope from that. Really, it's just be serviceable enough. If you can get those takeaways, it really does make up for when you have a lapse in coverage, when you have penalties. And that's really a key to what this game looks like. You can predict this as much as you want. I think that Chicago wins this game by 8 points. I'm confident in that just because of this offense, what they've looked like. They can attack this game exactly the way San Francisco just did. The 49ers just laid the blueprint. Chicago run the ball 35 times. Caleb throw the football 28 times. They control the ball 32, 33, 34 minutes. They'll find themselves winning this game 27-19. That's my prediction. But what throws a wrench into that? It is penalties. This Bears team has only one time on the season had less penalty yardage. That was last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. Once again, it is nipping them in the butt. You can't have this amount of penalties. Ben Johnson's continued to harp on it, and that's why through 8 games, halfway through this season now at this point, and the Chicago Bears have not been able to play a complete, full fourth quarter game where the entire thing just looked very good overall, where they didn't have penalties, where they didn't also have turnovers, or Caleb Williams struggling somewhat, or in the run game also being able to click as well. They haven't had that 4-quarter. That's what Ben Johnson wants in this one. I know he's looking for that. That's the expectation this week. There's so much at stake right now with what that back half of the schedule looks like. This Chicago team has to be 6-3. They need to get a conference win against a 2-7 New York Giant team. Because I'll be honest here, I bet Bears fans are going to agree with this. It's like, do you even want to be a playoff team if you lost to a team like New York and you are 5-4 and you sort of found your way to being 9-8 on the season, sliding in a backdoor into the playoffs to then be a 7 seed and play at Detroit or at Philadelphia? Yes, making the playoffs would be great, but realistically, what that team would look like, but with a loss to a team like New York, you would always have that in the back of your head. I know everything could sort of change in the back half, and that doesn't define an entire season, but it certainly is a brand on your body of what that body of work will be for the year. This is a game that you just have to win, with Minnesota on the road and a chance for a little bit of revenge for Caleb, who got outplayed by J.J. McCarthy week 1. You cannot overlook New York. I don't think they will. Ben Johnson's been very good about having his team prepared and ready to roll. You would like for the penalties to not show up in quite as large of a way, looming the way that they have this season. Think about it. A 6-3 Bear team after being 0-2, that is what's available to them if they come out and just beat a 2-7 New York team with a rookie quarterback and a banged up offense. It's unbelievable to be in this spot. Chicago's only favored as of the recording of this video by 3.5 points. I think that's Vegas telling you that they just don't believe in this Bears team. They're saying, all right, they beat the Saints. They beat the 3-5-1 Dallas Cowboys. They beat the Bengals, who are 3-6. They beat the Raiders, a bad team. So all these wins, they're saying these are against bad football teams. The Commanders, they're 3-6 now. So Vegas is saying Chicago's just not a very good team. They've got 5 wins. I will support that from the statistics I've mentioned here. This is a team that's getting close. Takeaways are random, but also when you practice and preach it that way, they do come. Offense, you can't just somehow luck your way into being a top 10 offense in the league in the sense of efficiency, third down, all of that, right? Third down defense, you can't make that up. So what's holding the Chicago team back? It's first and second down as a defense. If you're a Bear fan at that game, it's not just third down to get loud. It is every single down. There is no letting off the gas. You saw you were up 20-0 against the Saints. Bam, bam, middle 8. It's a 20 to 14 point game. That's how flip games can change on you in the NFL. So against New York, it's a 4-quarter attack. This Giants team, they've been in these tight games. They haven't been able to close out a team like Denver last week against San Francisco. Of course, a tough loss where they really were trailing the entire way. They just saw a quality football team. I don't think they're going to be intimidated or be afraid of the Chicago Bears on the road. Soldier Field sometimes gets the rap for not exactly being the most hostile environment because it's the smallest stadium in the NFL. But if you're there first and second down and a third down, of course, you just have to show up and bring the juice and the energy because those are the downs where this Bears team has struggled. If you can have Jaxon Dart living in third and long the entire day, this will be a win. It just will be. The Chicago defense is going to get their chances to rush the passer, something that with Austin Booker back, you're starting to feel a lot more confident about. He only was in there for, I believe, about 45% of the snaps against Cincinnati. That number is likely going to be up to about 65, 70%. So that's something where he can have an impact on this game. Montez Sweat's starting to play some football now. He was so close to that strip sack fumble. That would have been his 5th sack and 3rd forced fumble of the season. He's starting to get an impact now on these games. All of the signs are pointing towards a manner for this Bears team to have a path and avenue with a shot for Jaylon Johnson to come back in December, Kyler Gordon off of the IR. For this Bears team that's different from just about all the others across the league, where they're going to be getting guys back. They don't have guys that are per se that are key absolute guys you have to have that have been out for this season so far. They've had Loveland banged up. They had, of course, Luther Burden, the rookie, being banged up. He missed against Cincinnati. They've had the injury to Odunze, to Shamar Turner. But again, those guys, are they in the top 10 most important players on your roster? I would probably argue to the contrary of that. So they still have the health of this roster intact at the end of the season, potentially coming back for a major boost. Because what we've seen across the league, it just might be who are the healthiest teams in the NFL that get into the postseason and aren't fully limping into it, that can be healthy for the playoffs. And you can start to use that P word if this Chicago Bears team is 6-3 with what this offense has looked like. So that's what I'm going to go with. 27-19. The Chicago Bears get a win at home against the New York Giants. I want to hear from you guys. Look, for New York, let me know how you would really attack Chicago. I think it's pretty simple here in terms of the time of possession. I know you want to attack the secondary. You'll have your opportunities, but again, you have to remember that they've been opportunistic, that they've been really good in filling into zones. I think Kevin Byard's the type of guy that's absolutely a candidate. If you've got prop bets for a guy to get an interception, he's the first guy I would think of, and Kevin Byard. That could be fooling Jaxon Dart into believing something's open in the seam. He comes down as a playmaker to intercept the football. Again, since he's come into the league from Middle Tennessee, he leads the league in interceptions since he came into the league, I believe, in 2016. So he's just that type of guy, that veteran presence that's helped out in that back end. And I want to hear from you as well. For Chicago, do you just replicate what San Francisco did? I don't see any other reason than to go out there, unless you're struggling. It's clear early that you're not running the football well, but don't abandon the run. Ben Johnson is a type of guy that he's going to live and die by that run game and stay with it throughout the course of a game, because he needs that balance. He knows it's paramount for his team to have success, to not just be in games, but to win games, having that balance on the ground. So I think Kyle Shanahan, he pitched a not a perfect game, but he pitched a heck of a performance against New York in the sense of play calling. He set the table for Ben Johnson. You just go out there and formulate a game plan that's very similar to that. I really believe that you'll have a lot of success against New York. So let me know down below in the comments who you think wins this game. Do the Bears pull it out? I got to tell you guys, if you haven't watched my videos already, that I am a diehard Chicago Bears football fan. I try and make these as impartial as possible. Of course, I went into a lot of detail there about Chicago and this New York team. A ton of respect for them and what they have. Jaxon Dart, I watched a ton of this guy at Ole Miss. They really have something cooking there. So let me know down below in the comments sort of what you think. Subscribe, please, for more content. We're trying to get that subscriber count up and build this out. We're breaking down NFL games and college games every week of the season. In November now, these games are so much more important. It's so fun to make these. So I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Thank you.